First of all, Craigs, congratulations. A great performance and a great result tonight. Might be easy to talk about the goals, but perhaps more impressive was keeping a clean sheet tonight against a very experienced side.
Well, that's the message I give them at half-time, that I think at times we've worked really hard in games and we'll give away sloppy goals or cheap goals at times, and sometimes the defenders don't get rewarded. But I felt all around tonight we were good. I think we have to be careful not to overemphasise the performance. I think we can be better. I know that's been a little bit harsh at times, but I think when you look at players and what they're trying to do and the enthusiasm, the organisation, it makes you proud sometimes as a manager standing thinking they're trying to carry out what you've tried to teach them and speak to them. And yes, they make mistakes and they give the ball away, and I get frustrated because I think they're better than what they are sometimes. And just a little bit more self-belief in them. So hopefully tonight, playing against an experienced side, may give them a little bit more self-belief. I thought Blair Spittle, for example, for them, it's difficult sometimes for senior players to play in 20s games, but I thought his application, his attitude was terrific, and he was a threat all night. We had to be wary of him, we had to try and pick him up. So credit to the young ones for playing against someone who's played first team football. So clean sheet, 3 goals. It's probably the difference from this week to last week against Hibs. I'd noted it down. We had a meeting 33 times in the final third. We made poor decisions last week. 33 is a lot. So tonight we made better decisions in the final third, and there's no surprise we got goals. So we can work our way up the pitch, but the guys at the top end of the pitch, it's the final thing you do with the ball that counts, and the final thing you do that people remember. So tonight will be remembered for 3 goals, and not the misplaced passes or the mishit crosses. So all around a good night.
Last week the message was simple: bounce back, get back to where you were. What is the message this week? Just keep it up and keep those consistency levels. Yeah, well, that's been 4 or 5 league games and 2 cup games, and probably with 1 game where we've slipped off the pace, and I say slipped off the pace is it's our passing or our final cross or final shot, or we're slacking the final third, and with Don being in there and Ross McLean and Dylan, they were better tonight. They were better on the ball, they made better decisions, they took care of the ball better, and that's why we got chances. I mean, let's not kid ourselves. United could have been 2 or 3 up before we scored. We had 1 cleared off the line, we couldn't find our way. I think the pace of the game and the tempo of the game which they started with was good. The pitch was greasy, which we want. We want a slick surface. So it took us a while to adjust, and once we get through a rhythm and once we get through that little spell, then I thought we were even anyway. There's times they had a bit of the ball, we had a bit of the ball. So the message was to bounce back. We were a little bit low during the week. I was a little bit low myself. Sometimes you get that. You put so many hours in and you work hard with the kids, and they're the same, and they get a little bit low, and you could sense that we needed a big performance tonight just to lift us and kick us on again. And the manager was in after, and he was singing their praises and telling them well done, and he was going through individuals. So it's nice to see that the manager cares what they're doing, and that there's a room for improvement, but also a room for progression. Just how pleasing is it for you, Craigs, when the 3 goals were all such well taken, well worked team goals as well at points?
Yeah, it's we speak about putting crosses into the box, and we played Aberdeen a couple of weeks ago, and they put the ball in the box. Anytime they got a chance or anytime they got a sniff, they put a cross in the box, and sometimes we're a little bit reluctant to do that. And I think for the first goal, David just put it in the area. It wasn't a great cross into the box, but it gives you a chance to go and attack it. It gives you a chance to fight and scrap for it. The ball bounces. Dylan, I think wrestles a few people about and eventually creates that little bit of space. But maybe in previous occasions would have played an extra pass in a wide area and went back and started again. So the message this week was anywhere near the final third, you get a little glimpse of light, put it in the box, put it into the box. So we managed to do that, and then Ross McLean got the second one. I can't remember who got the second one. I think it was a great pass by Don, but Ross is supposed to be playing on the right, but we try and give them some sort of freedom where they can drift all over the pitch, and if they find themselves in areas where they can link up and get goals in, then great. And it was a choice at the end to put on Dylan or James. James has been brilliant for us. For such a young man to come in and the way he's played in games and the way he's acquitted himself in training, he's going to be a very top talent. He is. He's been really impressive, and he's getting better every day. So Dylan's could probably get a little bit more pace than him, and because we were under the cosh a little bit, we felt as if we get a long ball forward or something down the side, he may get onto it, take us up the pitch. But lo and behold, you don't always get decisions right. But Keith and I spoke about it, and I just felt it was best to get someone on maybe a bit quicker, and he goes through and gets his goal. So that'll give him a lift as well. But James can't. He can count himself a little bit unfortunate. But yeah, 3 well-worked goals. Defensively in the second half, we stood up. We had to defend crosses, we had to defend free kicks, we had to defend corner kicks, we had to make blocks. And credit to them, I think they've done that.
Well, I don't want to get too carried away, but it was great to watch. Great 3 points. Congratulations.
Thanks very much.
Cheers.